All right, guys, what's up? I want to get a little bit today into the increased, let's say, trendiness of psychic phenomena happening. A lot of people waking up to spirituality, waking up to their true selves, their higher powers, right? Their higher capabilities, um, are basically starting to get messages or are starting to see messages or hear messages from, let's say, other people on YouTube or maybe even close friends or relatives that actually are very psychic, or they may be themselves very psychic. They may be mediums, they may be people that can communicate with beings from the other side, let's say. Now, when I say other side, I'm talking about only one side because there are many sides, many veils, I believe. With our veil being the one between, let's say, our physical material realm and the more spiritual realm that we'd be able to see, which is overlapping us really, and is happening with us at the same time. It's just that we cannot perceive it, right? So a lot of people are kind of waking up to this phenomenon, and I definitely was there myself, and I still believe in it. I still engage with it even. It's just that I am not as naive to it anymore as I was, where a lot of people nowadays will hear a channeled message, will hear a psychic prediction, and they'll say, "Oh, that has to be true. Oh, that has to be, something that's a strong potential, right? Because look at all these psychics; they're all getting the same messages. It's got to be happening, right? This is something we need to plan for, or take action towards." And it's not everyone really, not because I see a lot of comments where people aren't fully, let's say, diving into new age spirituality, but the people that are definitely immersed in that, are surrounded by all these channeled messages or psychic phenomena happening, are more likely to be misled. Okay, now I know I've been presenting a lot of information on YouTube and on Twitter, and a lot of it has definitely been countering the, let's say, mainstream narrative of the spiritual community, right? Because this spirituality has become very mainstream. A lot of people think spirituality is like an alternative, or um, you know, it's a counter counteracting, the physical control systems, and to become spiritual is basically to become um, a hero in this villainous world, in a sense, right? I'm doing all the work, I'm raising the vibration, things like that. Well, not necessarily. You have to understand that these practices, these things have existed for a very long time. People were communicating with spirits a very long time ago, and there were very skilled people at it. There were very, elitist people that were not necessarily um, using that for the benefit of humanity. You have to understand that, right? There's more than one side to, let's say, uh, an astral being, or let's say a being of a higher frequency. Because just because it has a higher frequency than you does not mean that it is more evolved than you or better intending than you may think. So I know this information can definitely be perceived as negative when I'm offering a different perspective, but I'm trying to provide a harsh truth that I took upon myself, not necessarily willingly, to find out, right? That this manipulation happened to me, and I'm sharing the information I learned that my eyes were open to. Okay, I was definitely misled. I was definitely manipulated in this regard, because I also interpreted, hey, if it's psychic, it's got to be true. If it's they're tapping into an extra sense, it's got to be right. It's got to be something that is beneficial to us, and we need to follow it at all costs, because it's coming from the aliens. They're trying to help us, and we're not listening, and we need to get our stuff together because we don't know what we're doing out here, and we're less evolved, or all that. But what I've come to understand is that we are the evolved beings participating in an unevolved system, and that system of control actually runs very deeply, very highly, actually. So, Try to keep that in mind when listening to this information, when perceiving what I'm trying to say, that the negativity is really your perception of me trying to tell you a harsh truth. It's like someone, giving you some bad news, but you saying, oh, you're just being negative because you're telling me negative stuff. No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to tell you so that you don't fall prey to um, the manipulation, let's say. Okay. So that's out of the way. Now, okay, when we hear these psychic fortune tellers or psychic people um, giving very apocalyptic messages or very disastrous messages or telling you to prepare, telling you to do this, I can see that it would be a warning, let's say, and it's similar to what I'm doing, right? So it's very negative, can be perceived as very negative, more likely be a warning. But you have to understand that's exactly what they want. These beings on the other side want to feed people. That's why in the mainstream we have so many apocalyptic movies. That's why the psychics are very are very mainstream themselves, right? You turn on Netflix and you literally have a show about a psychic medium because they are controlling the narrative that is being pushed out. They know that people won't question psychic mediums, won't question psychics when they're clearly showing that they're right. And they're going up to a car and they're finding exactly that. Obviously you have the skeptics that aren't into the spirituality yet, and they're trying to kind of funnel them in there. But the people that are like, see, this is real. She's absolutely real. She knows what she's talking about, or he, or whatever. Or they have someone talking to your dead grandma, your dead grandpa, your dead pet, or whatever, right? And these things are coming through, and they're saying how much they love you, how many things they know about you. You have to understand that these astral beings and your dead grandma may not even be in that same location, or if they are, they're still in that system of control, because that means they more than likely went towards the false light and they got trapped in the reincarnation room, or in the waiting room, right? And then the incarnation loop, or in the waiting room, which are these are things that I have researched and discovered to be true. Now you have to do your own research to really convince yourself of such things. But based on all these near-death experiences, you will start to see the common theme in the narrative happening. It's like a very big matrix propaganda and control system designed to trick, because the power is with us. All they have are manipulation tactics. So when these beings then communicate with you, they gain your trust, right? They masquerade as your grandma, as your pet, as some archangel, as your guides, as some higher entity. They gain your trust. Then all of a sudden they start giving you advice, and you start listening to it, and you see, okay, yes, that may have worked. Let's go a little further. It's a very big Ponzi scheme, right? They gain your trust, and then they get you to make huge life decisions surrounding their advice, because they know that that will lead you into a situation which will create the most loosh. Then they repackage that and they say, see, that was a karmic lesson for you. That was something you needed to go through. It was facilitating your growth. And you wonder, well, hold on a second. The only growth that really happened here was that now I don't trust you anymore because you misled me. You told me do all these things, it'll make your life better, and my life is now worse because of it. But now all of a sudden I've grown from that experience, let's say. And this is very dangerous because they can literally end up destroying your whole life, not to mention get you into car accidents, create financial difficulties for you, break up your marriages, break up your relationships, all through a sort of deception that they play on your ego. They try to make you feel good. They try to say they're proud of you. They try to tell you're doing such a great job and to follow their advice, follow their lessons. But then again, these beings have never even been to Earth. You have to understand that. They don't know what it's like to be here because they're more than likely too scared to even come down here, or they're not allowed to, or for some reason, they just never have even been to Earth. Same with these Ascended Masters. They're stuck in their own little playground of basically mediocrity, and they know they can't get out unless they come down here. Yet what they're doing is extracting energy from the people down here and just using that to feed their life force, basically, because I believe that that matrix, this matrix that's in a sense collapsed, needs exterior life force to fulfill itself, to keep running, right? And at the end of the day, these beings are really a workforce, right? They're enacting their jobs in which they take a cut from, right? A cut of the energy to really feed the whole demiurge behind the matrix, the architect that is the one running the show. It's an AI, right? I'll give you this example. Imagine that we are on the chessboard, right? The Masons revere the chessboard of duality. So if we're on the chessboard, we are the chess pieces. There's the black pieces, the dark side, and the white pieces, the quote-unquote light workers, or the light side, let's say, right? The religious people, maybe the spiritual community, all these people that try to do good in the world. But the world is the chessboard. What are you really doing good in? Okay, and I'm not saying, stop doing good or stop being a kind person, stop being loving. Quite the opposite. To be loving actually is to be very neutral, is to be very unconditional, as in, oh, you're a black piece, I love you, it's great, do your thing. You're a pawn, you're a queen, you're a knight, whatever. Oh, you're a white piece, I love you equally. I'm neutral. I don't want to play this game of duality, because if you've studied what they do here, it's literally a replication in the higher matrix realms, right? They finance or sponsor or control both sides of the same coin, of the same army, of the same, or different armies, but both sides of the same war. So in that regard, they then play these negative entities against the positive entities, right? Or more of a false light entity, because the true positive entity would be telling you, hey, you're in some sort of control system. Here's what's happening on your earth. Here's what's happening in the astrals. Here's what's happening above you. They would give you all this information that would essentially wake you up to the whole thing. They would talk about why you forget your memory. They would talk about the false karmic lessons that happen here for your manipulation to control you, right? And not everyone necessarily is ready to hear that, of course, but in a sense, these entities are acting like gatekeepers as well, right? They're acting as potentially daycare teachers, or people guarding the kindergarten, let's say, of spiritual babies, because we've fallen so much in our perception that we don't even know what's going on anymore, and we kind of blocked out all our gifts because we think we're so powerless. It's the moment we start gaining that sovereignty back through this desire for truth, this desire for kind of getting your power back, is the moment you're ready to hear different ideas, different perspectives. Because we have this built-in cognitive dissonance in which we hear something that, oh, that's there's no way that's possible because it completely disagrees with what I've learned so far. And then we react, right? We react emotionally. We go into fight or flight. We start calling other people names or things like that. And we're not ready to really understand all perspectives, or even take them into consideration. And that makes you not sovereign, right? Not able to fully be in control of yourself. Because the moment you die, all of a sudden you meet a being that you may perceive as higher than yourself. You pedestalize them, just like we do here. We pedestalize people that we perceive as more authentic or elite or powerful, and then we willingly give our power away, like as in, tell me what to do, right? That's why the government exists, because we are easily manipulated into that consciousness level. And this whole matrix control system is based around that, around our willingness to give away our sovereignty. And the moment these beings come in, then first of all, they love bomb you with what is a higher frequency and an ecstatic, let's say, frequency that you perceive as love, never fully having perceived what true unconditional love feels like. You perceive that that frequency, you think that's love, that must be God. All of a sudden, whatever frequency it is, it's higher, it must be God, right? Yeah, it doesn't work like that, and that's where they get you, they hook you in. And the thing with these psychics and mediums, they receive these messages, right? They don't know who they're talking to, because these beings are masquerading as whatever you perceived in this life, whatever family member you attached to. They're giving you all these messages, and some of them being apocalyptic, some of them being various other predictions that you then, with your consciousness, serve to manifest. Similarly done with movies, right? They're projecting. Similarly done with the news, they're broadcasting. And similarly done in the astral and the higher levels of the matrix, where these beings can then shapeshift into various images or personas that you grew up with, you became accustomed to, you became attached to, from a religious perspective, from a spiritual perspective, from a materialistic perspective even, and you then easily get fooled, right? Now, there's a lot of information to go with that. There's a lot of evidence supporting that, and I'm not going to necessarily provide that all in this video, but I wanted to make a note regarding psychic phenomena and predictions in general, and communicating with beings from the other side in general, because you don't fully know who you're talking to. And the Gnostics had a very similar belief that said, listen to these beings, listen to these spirits, but always be discerning. Sometimes they offer you good information, sometimes they're more than likely looking to manipulate you, because all of these beings, they have their own agenda. Think of it as if you're talking to another human, right? How many humans on this realm have achieved complete unconditional love, in which they have no outside agenda, no ulterior motive to gain anything from you, right? So that's the perspective you need to have, because just because these beings are residing in a higher plane or realm of existence does not mean that they are better than you in any way, right? You have your own power. You are, in a sense, a fragment of source that was potentially either manipulated into here or trapped in here in some way, lied to and convinced to come here or whatever. But the moment you realize these certain things is the moment you realize, hey, I didn't necessarily choose to come here. I don't think I was told everything at the moment of signing the contract, let's say. I don't think I was given all the details, right? And the worst thing is, I don't remember anything. At least if I remembered something, then I'd be able to, hey, I remember my past life contract, I have these things to fill out, and I have a mission to do, boom, 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 I can do it. What kind of being says, no, go in there, you got a special mission, you got all these things to do, but guess what? You're not going to remember a single one of them. And you're just going to have to basically roam through life like a NPC, like a robot, not knowing what's going on autopilot, listening to what people are telling you, because it's much easier for us to control you down there, since you're basically lacking power. You're lacking knowledge, really, of who you are, right? A lot of these occult sayings go as in, know thyself, right? And that's a very profound thing, because once you gain knowledge of yourself, who you truly are, you gain your power back, okay? So, that was a lot. I hope that made sense. Let me know what you thought in the comments. I'm going to end this video now, so give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.